Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to play Hawkeye in this ultimate guide for Marvel Rivals. So Hawkeye is extremely powerful if you can land some headshots, because as you can see, he can take targets out from range with this bow attack. The piercing arrows will give you a ton of damage, and he also charges up his Hunter's Focus there, which is a little bit of a resource that's underneath your aiming reticule. You'll see there it's at 0 now, and when you aim at a target for up to 0.9 seconds, then you get additional damage on your attack. What's nice about this is you can actually just shred down enemies with this. You have to be aimed at them in order to get this, but it does provide a huge boost to our damage. Now, Hawkeye's best played at a bit of a range, but sometimes you can get into a nice vantage point or even a little bit of a flank and get some great positioning, which will allow you to take out their healers. And that's ideal, because as Hawkeye, you can just one-shot healers if you're able to get lucky like that. And it does require some good aim, so he is a little bit more challenging to play, but I do think that if you learn his way to play, he is very useful. Now, I prefer playing on keyboard and mouse with Hawkeye over a controller. Now, it really depends. Obviously, on console, you can't do that, but just allows you to aim a little bit easier, and he's just very, very deadly from range. So we also got ourselves blast arrows here, and they're going to hit in they shoot out 3 at a time. They do 20 damage each with 25 splash damage. So if you're able to hit all of them, that's not too bad, but you do have to be relatively close in order to be able to hit all 3. So this may not be the most ideal situation, but you can swap to those if you're in like a bind. Like you can use your blade there and then follow up with a couple of those. But I'd honestly almost prefer using your just piercing arrows, because the damage on those is just going to be a whole lot higher. So that can be a good way, obviously, to take out enemies if you get jumped by, let's say, a Spider-Man. But you also have your supersonic arrows if you press E here, so you can shoot those, and they'll do a splash damage twice of 20 damage. So it's not a huge amount of damage, but it can be pretty decent just if you get jumped. And you also got this double jump. I find the double jump is great for getting up into a vantage point, or also for if you have a hard time getting a shot off, or even like if there's a Groot on your team that's blocking the way, you can jump up here and pull off a couple shots, and that just gives you a nice ability to get some damage in. Now, another thing, you have a quick fire, so you can just rapidly pepper enemies with arrows, and this typically isn't the best strategy. But let's say you hit Luna and her health is really low. It might just take a couple more clicks to take her out. So in those instances, it's probably best just to fire a couple quick arrows back to back. But the damage fall off is around 50 meters. So you do have to be a little bit mindful. Like the further away you get, you will have to aim slightly higher. Like roughly around there, you'll see that the headshots were landing. But as we get further and further, I'm on a bit of elevation here. You're going to see that you still have to aim a little bit higher. There, we weren't even able to hit a headshot. So the more you charge the arrows up, the further they go. Like if you don't charge them up all the way, they have a big drop off. But a full charge like that keeps them going right for the head. So you'll get comfortable with this at time. I actually recommend going to the practice range here and just getting tested with the shooting off with Hawkeye, because he can be really strong if you're able to land your shots. And it really just depends on being able to land your shots, because otherwise you're not going to do any damage. So I'll just try to show you guys here. If you were to not aim at a target, you see with 0 Hunter's aim, and then you shoot at someone. If you hit a headshot, you'll still take them out, but it's best to actually focus on the target, and you can almost take out tanks with this. So it can actually be pretty powerful, just depending on when you're able to get these off. Now, again, this double jump is a great mobility. It can also be used to get away, because you get a little boost whenever you're jumping. You also got the supersonic arrow, so like let's say a Spider-Man comes at you, you can shoot one of those off, run off, and you can also follow with your swipe. The swipe will launch enemies up into the air, which is pretty nice, but you may not actually find that super useful. Now, another thing that's really unique about Hawkeye is his attacks will actually deflect damage. So if we're to go over here and try to parry these, you can actually... I'll get the timing off on them. The timing is a little bit tricky, but you do have the ability to parry. It might not even allow you to parry these, but you can reflect them back at the target. So there we go. You can see one of those there. You can actually stop Magneto's ultimate with this, and that is obviously really nice, because Magneto's ultimate is pretty defensive, but it can take out lower health people like duelists or even a healer. And yeah, it's nice to be able to deflect it with your blade. It's almost like playing Sekiro, if you've ever played that. A lot of deflecting there. But our ultimate is really cool, because when we do this, it's going to make after images of anyone that's nearby us. So you can see here, there's those after images. And the thing is, the after images will take a bit of extra, or they'll take the damage, but they won't get headshots. So that's something to keep in mind if you're trying to get some headshots off. You're better off just aiming for their body. That's just the better way of going about it. But I'll show off some tips and tricks on how to make the most out of Hawkeye in a real game. So I'll show you some positioning here. Now, we're just getting jumped right at the start, and they overextended big time here, but this is great for me to be able to get a bunch of shots off. That magic literally wandered right into my attack there, which is perfect. But yeah, whenever you're first starting the game, you want to probably play behind your tanks and around where your healers are, because you can use your upward slash to get them away from your healers, and you kind of want to be able to protect them a little bit, even though as a duelist you're all about damage, but we're long range. Now that double jump actually gives you huge mobility whenever whenever a brawler gets right up in your face like that, so that can be useful for getting away. Now easy targets for us are things like Storm here, as you can see here, not too hard to hit, as well as Iron Man. So those are kind of priority targets because they will shred down everyone else, but you got the advantage point to be able to get them from range. So yeah, here we're just storming up their healers here, and it just worked really well. Now, always protect yourself. Like Jeff is about to do his ultimate here, so I just ran away there. That was probably the best choice to go for. But we want to play at a bit of an angle here if possible. Like, we can see a really good spot to get some shots off them. They thought they were safe in that building. I actually forced her to bring out her ultimate when she didn't even need to, so that was perfect to waste it. But yeah, again, Storm is really easily taken down by us, so they'll typically swap off, but they're nice, easy knockouts while you can. And yeah, here I was just hunting down this Magneto who didn't even recognize that I was behind him there. I should have probably aimed down a little bit longer for some of those attacks, but still got the knockout, so that's all that matters. But yeah, we do play roughly at this range here. If you can get long range, and that magic just jumped right into my way, and again there. So you can get lucky with some if there's brawler types that try to get up in your face. You usually can take them out if you're able to land your shots. If not, go with your swipe attack and then try to jump away. Also, you're great at taking out Bruce Banner because sometimes he can get away with his grenade, but if you're able to launch an attack right at the start there, typically you or someone else will finish him off that way. So that is really nice. Now, in terms of positioning, again, it's best to be flanking a little bit. So here I'm playing alongside the objective here, but I was able to find another good vantage point, which got me to take out their healers a couple times, which is perfect. And luckily got that Captain America jumped right in the way, and I was able to take out a legendary ultimate from Star-Lord there. So anytime that you can take out their ultimate, that's perfect. Scarlet Witch as well. Now I use my ultimate here. I didn't really use it to its full potential. You want to actually just hit the purple clones there because they won't move, and that just allows you to get your shots off. That was a pretty funny shot with Spider-Man there. And once we got that final push, sometimes you can just aim at a certain area where you see a bunch of health bars and just aim up your shots, try to aim for headshots, and you'll get a bunch of damage in. Especially if there's a bunch of just like people in one general area, you're usually going to get a couple shots off and a couple eliminations that way. So yeah, that is typically the best way to play it. You can also go up high and also take out the Loki's runes. You can make it so that you can damage him as well if he's got his runes up just by shooting the top of it. And here's an example of getting someone to back off with a sword attack and then finishing him off with a bow. But that's some tips and tricks to make the most out of Hawkeye and Marvel Rivals. Hit the subscribe button below if this was helpful.